Hi, Papa Tom here again. This time we're going to talk about being in a box. You may or may not know what I'm talking about. I've made a drawing, and I hope you will too. And it looks pretty much like this. Go ahead on a piece of paper, draw this very drawing. Now, once you've drawn it, I will tell you this. Start anywhere and take a point anywhere in any of these boxes and draw a line through each of the walls once and reconnect with that dot. Try it. Put a dot anywhere in any one of these boxes and start a line that will break each of these surfaces and reconnect with the dot that you started with. One line, do not go through a barrier twice. Because when you connect it, you will have broken the box. Now what we're talking about is going outside the box. The only way you can connect that dot without breaking is to go outside the box. Yes, and back in and then connect it. That's what I'm talking about, going outside the box. Now, when I was a young boy, I used to stand next to my mother while she stood at the sink preparing a meal for the family. And I'd say, boy, one day I'd like to own stocks. One day I'd like to own bonds. One day I'd like to be wealthy. And she'd say, Tommy, we're not that type. We're not that kind. I said, what do you mean we're not that kind? We work, we bring home a paycheck, we buy furniture, we buy our house, we buy food, and we wait for the next paycheck. And the next paycheck comes, and we are in that box. She didn't say box, I said it. I thought, Mom, no, I don't want to go work, bring home a paycheck, pay for the food, pay the rent on the house, pay the payment on the car, and wait for my next paycheck. I want to grow. I want to become wealthy. Well, I would have to go outside the box that my mother was living in. So I went and talked to my dad. Now, my dad read a lot of books. As I used to say, they were books with no pictures, which didn't interest me at all. But he was a very well-educated man, self-educated. And after he passed away, I went through his belongings and I found all these notebooks filled with how to buy stocks, which stocks to buy, what they got, what was the return, why you bought them. But he never took any action. But he read all the books about them. He read all, and he took copious notes about how to accomplish it. But he never took any action. He and my mother were living in a box. The box that they made for themselves and were very comfortable in. He went and worked, brought home a paycheck. She paid the bills, electric, gas, water, rent, car payment, food, and then was out of money. And he went and worked, brought home a paycheck, and they were in this box. Well, I was determined that I would get out of that box. I would grow, and I did. I went out, and we were poor, so we were in a neighborhood that had one bank and no stock exchange, none, because no one in that neighborhood had any money. So those businesses weren't located there. If you go in a wealthy neighborhood, there's a bank on every corner. There's a stockbroker on every other corner. Yes, they have money, and those companies help them with their money. So I went to the bank and I opened a savings account, and I started to drip money into it from my job. My job was delivering newspapers. And I built up an account. And then I walked in one day to I took on my bike and I biked over to another neighborhood, a wealthy neighborhood. And sure enough, there was a stockbroker working there. And I walked in and I said, what would it take to buy some stock? He says, money. I said, how much money do I need? He said, what stock do you want to buy? Well, I thought, electric company, Southern California Electric. I want to buy their stock. He said, okay, it's so much a share. And if you bring in so much money, I'll buy you several shares and you'll become a stockholder. I said, thank you. I moved outside the box. I took my drip account, my feel-good account, and I bought some stock. I took my feel-good account and I broke the barrier that my mom and dad lived in, the box that they built for themselves. And I expanded my box to be bigger and cover a bigger area. And if you turn in next week, I'll show you how to not only break outside the box, but to diversify once you do. Until then, God bless.